Hello everyone and welcome to the Moony Movie Show. Today we're continuing our Oscars Best Picture nominee reviews. In this video we're going to cover one battle after another. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, this one's going to be a little bit fast-paced because I already recorded a review for this movie and the file got corrupted. So to say I'm a little bit frustrated is a bit of an understatement, and I'm kind of already tired of talking about this movie, even though, to you guys, I just started. So that's always fun. Try YouTube, guys. It's fun. Alright, One Battle After Another. One Battle After Another is a movie directed by Paul Thomas Anderson starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Bob, a washed-up revolutionary who lives in a state of stoned paranoia, surviving off-grid with his spirited and self-reliant daughter Willa. When his evil nemesis resurfaces and Willa goes missing, the former radical scrambles to find her as both father and daughter battle the consequences of their past. Okay, so let's talk about the positives. This movie is pretty good. The direction is great. Paul Thomas Anderson is a very beloved director. Now, here's where that gets a little bit complicated for me. I'm not the biggest fan of his. I haven't seen a lot of his movies to definitively say that. I've only actually ever seen one other movie other than this one, and that was Licorice Pizza, and I hated that movie. One of the very few movies I've ever watched where I genuinely wanted my time back. I was mad that I had watched it. That's how much I dislike that movie. I haven't seen There Will Be Blood. It's worshipped. I know that everyone loves it. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak on it. I can only speak on what I have seen, which is Licorice Pizza, and I hated that movie. So going into it, I was nervous because the only other movie I'd seen was Licorice Pizza, and I hated it. That being said, I really did like this movie. Much better than Licorice Pizza. This movie is really good. The performances in it are amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio as the dad. I mean, it's Leonardo DiCaprio, man. I mean, were you really expecting anything less than great? It's Leonardo DiCaprio. Sean Penn is honestly a really surprise standout here. He is terrifying in this movie. It's kind of I don't really know how to describe it, really. He's a great antagonist to this movie, and he gives an amazing performance. I do think he's probably going to walk away with the Best Supporting Actor this year. I know he's up. I think he's probably going to win. The award season has certainly pointed in that direction, so I do think that's what we're going to end up seeing Sunday night come the Oscars. Could be wrong. I don't know, but that's my guess. But all the performances are great. Benicio del Toro is such a likable character in this movie. He's probably my favorite character in the movie. Maybe second only to the daughter, because the daughter is a great character. I don't have the actress's name written down, so I apologize about that, but also a great performance. There's great performances all around the board, and when it's that kind of case, you have to credit the director for getting the best performances out of all the actors. So even though, like I said, I'm not the biggest Paul Thomas Anderson fan, when you've got such across the board great performances, you have to give credit to the director. He did a great job in getting the best performances out of these actors. And the story is great too. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time watching this movie, trying to anticipate what was going to happen next, and you never really could because it was just so chaotic and nerving, not really knowing how the situation was going to play out, if this dad was going to be able to be reunited with his daughter and all the obstacles they had to overcome to get to that point. I had heard somebody kind of refer to this movie as Finding Nemo with higher stakes, and I completely agree. It is kind of similar to Finding Nemo. It is a parent trying to be reunited with their kid, and in this particular case, just an insane scenario of trying to make that happen. And along the way, some very comedic moments. I was surprised by how much I liked the comedy in this movie. Not something I was expecting going into it because it just doesn't seem like that type of movie. But there is a lot of really funny moments that I enjoyed quite a lot. I audibly laughed several times watching this movie. So some great comedy. And with all that combined, this movie did work really well for me. I liked this movie quite a bit. Now, getting into the negatives. So probably my biggest negative about One Battle After Another is the fact that it took too long for me to start caring about the characters. We were watching it in about 48 minutes and 20-something seconds, I think, is when we paused it to get up and refill our drinks and go to the bathroom and all that mess. And I remember thinking, right after I pressed pause and I got up, I didn't care about any of these characters yet. We were almost an hour into the movie, and I didn't care about these characters. I didn't like any of them. If all of these characters had gathered into a room and a meteor hit the room and killed them all, I wouldn't have cared, because there was nothing inherently likable about these characters yet. And I do think 48 minutes is a little too long to go into a movie without liking the characters at all. So I do think that is something working against the movie, is taking too long for you to get invested in the characters. Now, that being said, I could be alone in this. You could have had a very different experience. You could have loved the characters from the first 10 minutes, and that's fine. More power to you. Me personally, I just didn't care about these characters for a good first third of the movie. Now, the last 2/3, different story. The ship got turned around completely. I was invested in the story. The plot had gotten kicked off. It was really starting to cook there. And I started caring about these characters a lot more. But when you go a first third of the movie where you don't care about the characters, I don't think I could ignore that and say that it's something I can overlook with ease. So yeah, that's one of my negatives. Another negative is I do think the movie is a little bit too long. It's quite a long movie, and I do think you probably could have shaved about 20 or 30 minutes off. First off, like I said, I didn't really care about the characters in the first 45 to an hour. I think you probably could have saved that by making the first hour or so shorter. Because the first hour really is just a lot of setup for the main story. One might argue too much setup. Probably could have shaved it down a little bit, gave the audience the gist a little bit quicker to set up for the main plot. And there was just several scenes throughout the movie that I think lingered a little too long. Like, overall, the direction is great and the scenes are crafted in such a way to really build tension, and it's great. But there's a couple scenes where they are trying to build tension that you think just drag on a little long. The one example I'll give is the car chase near the end of the movie. We're in the climax, the tension is at an all-time high, and the scene is crafted well and it builds the tension more and more, but I think at a certain point, it stops being built up tension and starts just to tire you out. I remember a little over halfway through that scene, I was kind of not anticipating what was going to happen next anymore. I was kind of just ready for the scene to be over with. I was like, okay, come on, let's get to the point here. That's really all the negatives I have for the movie. Overall, I do think this movie was really good. I did enjoy it. I'll probably watch it again. It's not my favorite movie this year. I know anyone who's been paying attention to the awards season and trying to predict what was going to win Best Picture, it's become pretty obvious at this point, we're at the week before the Oscars now, that it's between Sinners and One Battle After Another, with it kind of leaning in the direction of One Battle After Another. I don't know what's going to happen Sunday night. If I had to put money down, I'm thinking One Battle After Another is going to win Best Picture. Not the movie I would cast my vote for. But I'm not going to sit there and argue with anybody who says otherwise. If you think this movie is the best movie of the year and it deserves Best Picture, I'm not going to argue with you. I can see that. I do appreciate this movie and I like this movie. Not my pick for Best Picture, but I can understand anyone that says otherwise. So that being said, I think on the Moonphase rating, I'm going to give One Battle After Another a gibbous. Great movie. Couple things I would change, but for the most part, great movie. I enjoyed it. I do think that it is one of those movies that is susceptible to being enjoyed by the general movie-going audience and not just like an art house film that really only big cinephiles can enjoy. I do think the average Joe can enjoy this movie just fine, so it gets a thumbs up from me in that aspect as well. One Battle After Another, gibbous, good movie. I'm a fan. My first movie that I've seen that I like from Paul Thomas Anderson. Pretty good movie. All right, that being said, that concludes this video for our countdown to the Oscars. Hope you enjoyed it. If you got another movie that you haven't watched yet and you want to hear my thoughts, or you have watched it and you want to hear my thoughts for Oscar Sunday, well, we're releasing all 10 reviews for the Oscar noms, so stick around and click whichever one you want to see. I appreciate you sticking around. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. This has been the Moony Movie Show. Have a good one.